That's right next to the river. The levee was what kept the river out of my hometown. And every morning the farmers would come by and they would hire people. And the only judgment they had was how tall you were and how husky you looked. I was a big husky kid. When I was 13, I was 5'6". That's about 140 pounds. So I was pretty good sized kid. So I got hired the first day, and I worked every day, every summer after that, it was handy to have the money. You have to be 16 to do that work now. Farm work is probably the most dangerous work there is. Somebody's always getting killed. And I don't think that's changed that much. I know that I was delivering aqua ammonia about 20 years ago to this guy that was plowing up the tomatoes, and they had shovels and they plow the dirt and get rid of the weeds. It would turn over the weeds and the weeds would die, and they would put aqua ammonia in there to help the tomatoes grow. Well, he was in a glass enclosed air conditioned cab, and he had the temperature in there turned down to about 62 degrees. Because when you get out, the shovels would get clogged up. When you get out to unclog the shovels, it was 105 degrees. It was really hot. So he'd unclog the shovels and he'd get back in. One day I came out to deliver aqua ammonia to him, and he wasn't there. There was a new guy there. And his straw boss was there. And I asked his firm, I said, "Where's the guy that usually drives a tractor?" And he said, "Oh, he kept that temperature turned down to 62 degrees in the cab, and he kept getting in and out." He ended up with pneumonia. He was in the hospital with pneumonia from the air conditioner. So you never know where it's going to come at you from. Anyway, I started bucking hay first. And bucking hay, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, but you have to have a few brains, because there's a way of putting the hay on the truck so that it won't fall off of the truck before you get out of the field. And the truck's about 8 foot wide, and the bales are 42 inches, as I recall. They weigh about 140 pounds. And the bale outweighed me by 1 pound when I started doing it. But you don't pick the bales up. When you pick the bales up, you put your hay hook in one end, and you pick up one end. So you got 140 pounds. You only picked up about 40 pounds. You tilt it. Then you put your leg under it, and you tilt it up with your other leg, and put that leg under it, and then you walk with it. And you haven't actually picked up over about 70 pounds total. You picked up about half of the weight, because you use leverage. They showed me that first thing. I understood that, because I had already tried to pick one up. They're pretty heavy. You could pick up about 3 and you're ready to go home, you know. So, and you were stacking the hay, and you stack them. You put one bale like this, and you put another bale like this, and you put a bale like this. And you put another bale like this, and a bale like this, and a bale like this. Why do you do that? They stack them against the headboard. Then in the next tier, you put a bale here, and it keeps those 2 bales from rolling. You put a bale here, then you put a bale here, and you've got a tie. The 2 bales go over the intersection every time. You keep tying them like that on the head. And when you get to the back of the truck, you have to be careful. And you make sure you got the right amount. And you put the bales straight across on the back, because they have to keep the hay from falling off of the back. And there's no headboard on the back. And we used to, if I loaded the truck, or somebody else would do what they were doing, if you knew what you were doing when you loaded the truck and you tied the bales right, you didn't have to use ropes on it, unless you're usually going from the field into a stack near the road or the barn or something, putting them in the barn, or a pole barn. So you had to be careful to get them tied good, and they just drive them into the barn and unload them. You'd have to mess with the ropes. We had the ropes. So I used to drink, it was about 100 to start out. It was about 85 in the morning, but it'd get up to about 105. But if it was straw, the straw bales were lighter, but the straw reflected the heat. They'd get up to 130 in those straw rolls. Get really hot. And you drink a lot of water. You keep yourself. We had gallon jugs. There were gallon wine jugs with burlap sacks sewed on them. And we used to take them first thing in the morning and stick them in the trough that was under the spigot and get them wet. And then we keep filling that. Every time we come in, we fill it up again. And I would drink about 10 gallons of water every day. I got those blue JCPenney chambray work shirts. And the third time I washed them, they'd be white. And when I take them off at night, they would stand up by themselves. They have so much sweat and salt embedded in them. Anyway, so stacking hay was interesting. Then my first job after that, I learned to drive when I was about 10 years old. My mom read somewhere in the paper that somebody had a heart attack and the kid was 9 years old and he drove the car into town, saved somebody's life. So she taught me how to drive when I was 10. I was big enough to reach the pedals. 34 Ford, my first car that I learned to drive. And I had to shift my stick and everything. I learned how to drive that pretty good. So the first time I went out, they said, "Do you know how to drive?" I said, "Sure." The first truck I got in had 5 speeds. And I go, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder where they are." Anyway, I figured that out. And I drove the truck. It was full of wheat. Okay, I had 13 tons of wheat on this truck. And those trucks had little doors. You get and you pull the door up, and the door is about a foot square, and the grain would fall out into this auger, and it would put it into the tank. So they sent somebody out to help me. They sent Pop Rogers out to help me. Pop Rogers had 4 sons that were bigger than me and a daughter that could beat up all of her brothers. Nobody ever wanted to date her, but she was a good fighter. Anyway, and he came up to my shirt pocket. His wife was about 6'3", but he came up in my shirt pocket. And so he was going to help me. Oh, yeah, sure, he's going to help me. His end of the truck got finished emptied faster than my end of the truck, and I was working. Anyway, I finally watched what he was doing. He wasn't doing any work. He'd stand there and let it all run out, and when it got about where he had to move it, he'd take the shovel, he'd hit it like that, and a number 3 scoop shovel, the grain, the wheat would just go up, and it looked like a surf wave, and it'd go right over the edge. He'd just stand there and shovel it, and then when it got there hardly any grain left, he'd shovel it over the thing. Anyway, I learned how to shovel grain, and I only learned to respect me. A little bitty guy like that was smarter than I was. And he knew how to do it.